Welcome back to my cooking channel. Today we'll be making lasagna mac for a big group for the first time. So let's get right into it. For this recipe, I did everything at my house. The only thing I did when I got to my mom's was bake it in the oven, which was around like 425 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15-20 minutes if you want it to be done quick. So we got 2 pounds and then a 1 pound and an 8 ounce. I'm just going to cut these into cubes and do it that way just because it's faster and there's a lot of cheese. Now I'm just going to put this in a bowl, wrap it up, and put it in the fridge for tomorrow morning. Now we're going to cut up our vegetables for our burger meat. I'm going to use this half of onion and then half of the purple onion. Now I'm just going to transfer the onions to this pot and we're going to cut up the rest of our vegetables. Now it's time to cut up our sweet bell peppers. I'm going to also add in the peppers and we're going to get this on the stove. So I just turn it on like medium high. We're going to let this heat up, add in some seasonings, and then we're going to add in our garlic and then add in our ground beef. Italian seasoning. We're going to also be adding more to our ground beef. I'm not using any oil for the bottom of these peppers and onions because the ground beef is going to come with a lot of oil, so I don't want to do too much. Our garlic. So we're going to use 5 pounds of ground beef, and I'm going to layer my seasoning just because it's a lot of meat. We're going to first go in with some pink salt, onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, Italian seasoning. This is like one of the main seasonings for this recipe. And then some garlic and herb seasoning. Now I'm going to cover it with the lid and let it cook for about 10 minutes until it's fully done. And then we're going to drain the oil and grease out of it. And then we're going to get ready to put our sauces in. I use the traditional pasta sauce and then I use like the meat sauce. So we put these both in with some water and like maybe like a cup of water. And then mix this together and then we're going to add seasonings again. Now that the sauce is in, I did about 2/3 cups of brown sugar. Then I went in with more pink salt, Italian seasoning, garlic and herb seasoning, and like a little bit of Slap Your Mama seasoning. Then you're gonna let this simmer for about like 5 minutes, and then it should be good to be completely done. Now for the pasta, we're using elbow noodles because they're making like the mac and cheese. And then I also use chicken bouillon seasoning for the water. And then we're going to bring this to a boil and let this boil for about 7 to 10 minutes. We're going to add in our elbow pasta. Now for our ricotta combination, I used a whole bucket of ricotta cheese. And then we went in with 2 blocks of cream cheese. I'm not adding any salt to this. I am adding chives that are like freshly chopped. And then we're going to go in with some garlic and herb seasoning as well as garlic paste. And we're just going to give this a good mix and then put this in the fridge until everything else is ready. Unfortunately, my mic cut out, so that's why I'm like doing a voiceover. But as you can see, I'm just mixing it, and then I ended up adding the last block of cream cheese at the end. And then, yeah, it's set into the fridge until everything else is ready. We're going to do 4 tablespoons of butter, and then we're going to do the equal amount of flour. So we're going to do 4 tablespoons of flour. 3, 4. I'm also adding in my seasoning before I add the milk in. We're going with 3 cups of evaporated milk. Some 3 cups of heavy whipping cream. I'm going to start off by using Velveeta cheese. This will help keep the cheeses together. So I did about 3/4 of the Velveeta cheese block. All right, we're going to add a few blocks in at a time, just because. We're going to go ahead and add in our noodles. Bit by little bit. Now we're ready to layer our lasagna. A little bit of beef. And now I'm going to put shredded cheese on top. I am baking this at my mom's house, so we're just going to cover it with aluminum foil after this. All right, we're going to cover this with aluminum foil, and then I will meet you when it's done. I first had it on 350, but that was too slow, so we upped it to 425, and we were able to get the top nice and golden, and it was able to melt nicely. And it turned out really well. My brother, who usually is picky about my food, liked it, and he made sure to give me more than one compliment on it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next week when I come out with my new meal that I decide to make for Saturday or Sunday. Thanks, Dallas.
Like, loaded mac and cheese.
Oh, yeah. Loaded potatoes.
Oh, Jay, that's sweet girl.